Welcome to MedTech Conference in Toronto. We have Juuso, and it's super awesome to have you here with my co-host, Randy.
Okay.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm a clinical cardiologist and turned to entrepreneur. So we did academic research in clinics when wearables were coming, and just discovered that motion sensors are, actually great recording of your heart. Mechanical motion gets there, and we decided that this is something that we need to do. Share this innovation with the world, and that's Cardiosignal. Now I'm doing that.
Cool.
So,
awesome.
And what's your role at Cardiosignal?
I'm one of the founders. I'm the CEO, and also from my background as a cardiologist, I basically run the medical operations.
Medical. Okay. So normally in the interview we go into that, but actually you have such an interesting background. I want to take a minute because you've been in industry, academia, nonprofits, U.S., multiple countries in Europe. Like, could you give us a bit of the digest on that and how you landed on this?
Well, it was a journey. Everything started from working the clinic and doing research, and then just going to do a postdoc, and then that led to to the next step, and then eventually I ended up in big pharma, running clinical trials for them, and then designing them and having kind of like the medical oversight there. So that was kind of like how everything got started. So and then when we then discovered this technology, we just decided that this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. Let's go.
So let's start with that. So can you talk about what was the gap, or what can be improved that you saw an opportunity to be improved in healthcare?
Well, actually, that is a good point. So what happened was that practicing cardiology, we saw patients coming in with their sports watches and then these kind of wearables, and then Fitbits as well. And then there was a lot of data, and they didn't know what it means. And then when we were looking at, we couldn't interpret that well either. A lot of numbers, something about pulse, but can you actually say if there was an AFib, if the rhythm or the heart rate was high? No, you can't. So we started this investigation, working in this area, and I'm trying to understand that if you discover, are there actually sensors that could be utilized for cardiac monitoring? Mm-hmm. So this is where everything started.
So the consumers had sensors that were good enough for wellness, but were not fit for purpose for clinical diagnosis?
Exactly. And we wanted to, address the fact that are there any sensor types or devices in general that can provide meaningful information for the user, but more importantly, also for the clinician from the medical perspective. We tested, different kind of solutions there, but we ended up with motion sensors since they were the best what we could find.
Okay, so can you talk a little bit about that? Because it's motion sensors that's an existing technology, right? I mean,
yeah,
you have them in your phone. What are you measuring in motion?
Motion, we measure cardiac motion. So basically how it works is that you just take your phone with the app, you place it on your chest like this when you're lying down, 1 minute, we can read your heart, what is happening. I still remember the first time when I saw the study results, when we were looking at simultaneous echocardiography, and you can see like exact time intervals when valves are opening, closing, and all of that. They were exactly the same. You get echocardiography. So a lot of like those interesting features are now reachable with your smartphone. Mm. And I'm thinking that actually, I'm not sure if you knew that, but using motion sensors, especially accelerometer, which reacts to linear accelerations, that has been used in this kind of way for quite long. It was actually with motion sensors already in 1940s. It was discovered that if you get a myocardial infarction or some major cardiac event, it can be detected. The key for us was that we understood that when adding gyroscope, which is measuring rotational velocities, mm-hmm. that is the key, since heart is rotating actually when it's pumping.
So it's two different sensors. It's the one that's kind of measuring speeding up and slowing down, and then it's the one that's measuring angle.
Exactly.
But you're not doing the one that measures like how many feet below sea level are you for up and down.
No, that's not. But the point actually with those sensors, it's very fascinating since both are tridimensional. So you get actually 6 channels of information. So you can, from these signals, you can actually write a picture how the heart is
like a vector almost.
Yeah. You can get vectors. You can but we actually tried that one. It's not so illustrative as
Yeah.
you could,
Yeah.
first think of.
So how does this tell us about how this impacts patients? What
Well,
you're doing?
Well, I think the key here is that, we are able to harness your smartphone as a medical device,
Okay.
software as a medical device. So where the key comes is that we know all that, healthcare is struggling at the moment. Costs are high. And the challenge with healthcare is that we are not able to detect the diseases early. Often, you develop some kind of like complication, acute heart failure event, or myocardial infarction, or something like this.
Yeah.
And then you're treated, and it is expensive. What if with this kind of technology, we can do remotely, the assessment, and understand that, well, actually now it's coming, but you haven't yet had the complication. So now we can actually intervene in time and basically treat the right patient at the right time.
So if I'm a healthcare oriented person, am I just going to lie down every night and do it for 30 seconds? Or are there certain indications that you're going to make it that you'll get the app for?
Yeah, well, focusing on risk individuals, I think there's the key. But what we've actually had good experience on providing this to individuals, and I think it all comes down to what you are able to communicate. How you're able to motivate the individuals to use that. So you're providing information that is actually giving a essential information about your heart and then insights about that. So this is kind of like the motivation for those individuals, for people in general, to follow their heart.
So it's not just data for cardiologists or internists, it's also patient empowering.
Yeah, exactly. Since how I'm thinking about this is that, people, they are the ones who need to, or, who are basically the target, they need to use that. And then we need to make sure that they get something out of that. But naturally, we have a system how we can report everything to their treating physicians.
Interesting. Is it a big difference to think about how you present that information to a patient as opposed to a board certified cardiologist?
Yeah, naturally, there's a lot of difference there, and actually, it comes from regulation that we are not even allowed to communicate those kind of like so-called critical details to patients. They don't understand the information and they get anxious about it. So naturally, there's a lot of information. But one thing, from that perspective, how I'm seeing this kind of technology is that it's not replacing anything, in cardiology, or what the specialists are doing. This is the way how they can understand that how their patients are, doing when they're not at your clinic. So we can follow them up and understand what is going on, and then intervene when needed.
This is more like in sales terms. This is more like identifying people at the top of the funnel, not the bottom of the funnel.
Yeah.
So what's really interesting is you tried this first generation of consumer sensors. They didn't work, but it turns out the current sensors built into consumer smartphones, Android, iPhone, are good enough. So you guys didn't build the sensors.
Yeah.
Where's your special sauce? Is it in what you've learned from the data and your own data science?
Yeah, I think it's there. Like we started this already, like planning the studies in 2011. It took many years, and then we were looking also the other types of sensors that I mentioned. But that's really about what we discovered, and actually during the course of the work, we have filed several patents on the topic. So we have 13 patent families and 64 granted patents, covering basically globally the technology. Different phenomena that you need to look into, for example, atrial fibrillation, heart failure, coronary artery disease, aortic stenosis. Since we've discovered in our clinical studies that with this technology, you're actually able to address many different cardiac diseases. It's not a one-trick pony.
So it's almost like care pathways, that you're using with your patents.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that this could be like, a way how to, understand the patients more. Thinking that if you have heart failure, you may have these regularly scheduled visits, like every half a year or once a year. But sometimes, things develop and there's no symptoms, and sometimes they don't. So what if, we would be able to measure these patients to understand that when they need to have the visit.
Yeah.
It's similar, like if you seen and then remember what happened with cardiac pacemakers.
Yeah.
Previously, everybody came visits every now and then, and now it's all remote monitoring.
So I'm hearing predictive analytics, AI, that's what I'm hearing with what you guys are gathering. Can you want to tell us more about that? How that is that you're doing?
Yeah, that is a good point. So what we actually do is that we measure these from the signals. They are concrete features. So it's not like this traditional black box AI that just does something and then yields great results. So we can do that one as well, and we know that it can even improve what we're doing. But at the moment, as you know, that healthcare is a bit conservative, and then there's the regulations and everything. So we wanted to make sure that this technology is able to come to the market and serve people and then help. So therefore at the moment how this Cardiosignal technology works is that it's really concrete things. We are not utilizing like AI as much, what we know that we could.
Yeah, cool.
Very good. All right, so we'll close with one last question round. I'm deducing from your accent you're not from Texas.
No, not from Texas.
You are from Finland, right? Northern Europe.
Correct.
So talk to us as a earlier stage, or I guess maturing MedTech startup in Europe.
Yeah.
How do you look at what country to prioritize, or what are the challenges, particularly with digitally enabled things? Because you don't even have a physical device, right? You're using the phone with some really great algorithms. How do you evaluate, and what are the challenges of doing the US versus Europe in parallel or separate? How do you look at them?
Yeah, that's an excellent point. US is a big kind of like in a way uniform market area, whereas Europe is it's really like every country has their unique details, how you can get to the market, or how actually, well, there's one regulation for Europe, but there is still like these regional things, and that comes also to regulation and everything that you do there. So naturally, going maybe to the bigger countries in Europe, there's I think there's the answer in short, but Europe, it has its challenges from that perspective, so that you need to understand every country, how they operate, and even from clinical perspective, there are differences how the care pathways are executed. So a lot of challenges. I agree.
So I don't want to get you in trouble back home, but Finland's a rather small market compared to like Germany.
Yeah.
Where's Finland on your list?
Well, if we look at individual countries, like since we come from Finland, Finland is one of the kind of like leading countries in a way, but I think UK and Germany, Italy, Spain, they are there as well, and France. So they are quite high up on the list, and we are actually now also available in India. So there's a lot of.
It's a little bit bigger than Finland.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, exactly.
Great. Well, thank you for coming out. Have a great conference.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it's been awesome to have you on the show.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome.
Thank